What's up, guys? Devil Dog Gamer here, bringing another Marine Corps Mondays, and this week we're doing another question and answers. And of course, as soon as I asked, I got a lot of questions from you guys, and I got some pretty good ones picked out. If you asked these questions, thanks. There's some pretty good ones. Some of them actually reminded me of stories that I completely forgot about, so I got those locked away for another Marine Corps Mondays. But anyways, playing with the Battlefield 3 at the MG36, I quite like that machine gun. Kind of a fan of the whole H&K. But anyways, we can get down to the questions. The first question is about base housing and living off base, how much they give you. Well, the way to get an allowance for off-base housing and on-base housing too, well, the only way you can get on-base housing is if you're married. Pretty much married and a kid, they'll give you on-base housing, pay for your house, blah blah blah. Same with also off-base housing. That's pretty much the only way you're going to get off-base housing too. So you have a kid, you're married, pretty much blah blah blah, they'll pay it for you. It's an extra considerable amount of money. Same if you have a kid, they give you a good amount of money also. So for those with kids and wives or girlfriends you plan to marry, you're gonna be making bank a lot more than everybody else. So not to worry. But what a lot of people do is they actually go and get a nice sized house together, and 4 Marines from the same unit will share the same house, and pretty much split the rent down the middle. And that saves you a lot from doing, having to do field days and everything, and just deal with the bullshit. The only thing you got to do is just pretty much make sure you're at work on time, and everything else. So living off base is kind of beneficial. I suggest everybody probably tries to do that just to keep you away from all the BS. But you're definitely not going to make enough to rent a place on your own, I can tell you that. So make sure you find some people, to live with and everything. Alright, next one. What's the adrenaline rush of combat like, and how did you manage stress? Well, I would kind of describe combat as, it's not really an adrenaline rush, it's kind of adrenaline mixed with, oh my god, shit your pants fear. It's pretty much, going hand in hand. You have the equal amount of adrenaline and fear. Combat is the scariest shit I've ever done in my entire life. The entire time. Yep, just saved you, buddy. Thanks. You're welcome. But I mean, every time I got into a firefight, I honestly say I was scared shitless. Even though I didn't show it, and I didn't try to think about it. It was still in the back of my mind, just the fear of, you could die at any second. Literally, you could just be standing there, firing back, and then bam, take a round right to the face. And that's how it was. And I mean, it was, an adrenaline. I mean, it gets your blood flowing, your heart racing. I mean, you're pretty much fighting for your life, fighting for everybody else, and I can't hit that guy to save my life. But it's pretty stressful. It's stressful. It's definitely one of those things that it gets your heart racing, and it's something I've never really been able to duplicate. Nothing else in my life is compared to that feeling I got when I was in combat, with the stress, the adrenaline, the fear. I mean, it's really, trying to put it, the only thing it can come close to is kind of having sex. But I mean, you really don't if somebody's afraid of having sex and has fear in their mind at that time, you got problems. But I mean, the adrenaline rush of sex mixed with jumping out of a plane without a parachute, it's pretty much, the two things right there are, if you had those two feelings combined, that's pretty much what combat's like. So I mean, it is one of those things that it's definitely unique and really can't really be duplicated correctly in life. And it's one of those things it kind of changes your life. I mean, it's one of those just insane moments where your life is never going to be the same again. And a lot of it has to do with that adrenaline and that fear. But that's why you train so hard, is that way when you do get like that, when you do have that fear and that adrenaline kicking in, you also have the training, because you're not really thinking about what you're doing. There were times I didn't even know what the hell I was doing, and I wasn't paying attention. I'm just so scared shitless, and then I'm sitting there shooting, and my training, I'm taking cover, reloading, covering people, and it's all the training. You really don't realize what you're doing. It's just the training that's doing everything. It's so beat into you how to react and respond to these things that you just do them automatically. And so, but a lot of the way we actually dealt with the stress of combat, being on deployment and everything, is through, having a sense of humor, laughter, everything. We would joke around with each other, play pranks on each other, tell funny stories, and a lot of the laughter and everything, after like a really tense moment, or we got into a firefight or something, and everybody's kind of a little jittery still, or a little stressed out. Tell some funny stories, make some people laugh, and it kind of just goes away. And that was the way it helped everybody. You have to have a sense of humor in the Marines to even survive, because it's just a stressful job, and it's just one of those things that helps with it. So you'll develop a sense of humor. Yeah, jump shot. Alright, next one. How do you deal with the sand fleas? Well, if you don't know what sand fleas are, there's little tiny freaking gnat-looking things that are famous at Parris Island, because all they do is feed on you the entire time. You're standing there to try to stay at attention, getting yelled at, and all you have is just like hundreds of them on your arms, just biting the shit out of you. And it's one of those things that they're so freaking tiny, and you ever felt a mosquito bite you? It doesn't really hurt that bad, right? Well, these things freaking hurt. It's one of the most ridiculous pains I've ever felt in my entire life out of something so small. I mean, like, paper cuts don't even hurt this bad. And when you have hundreds of them on you, on your face, on your arms, on your legs, biting, and you can't swat them. The second you swat them, the drill instructor's going to be all on your nuts. So it's one of those deals you have to, like, just fight through the pain and everything. And it's, I mean, you can't really deal with it. The only thing I used to do is I'd just sing songs in my head and just try to ignore the pain. But I mean, it'd be so bad, I'd watch kids at PT, and you can see them on each other, just covered with these black dots. And they're sitting there in the short shorts, and their legs are covered, and they're shaking because it's hurting so bad. I mean, it's so bad they have this Air Force C-130 come in, I think it's like twice a year, and actually sprays the island with pesticides to kill them. And it is crazy. I remember one time I got caught slapping one off my face, and I thought I was slick, but the drill instructor saw me and started yelling. He came over, he said, "Hey, don't you deny that thing meal, it has to eat too." So I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, there's no real way to deal with the sand fleas. I mean, it's just something you're going to have to power through and just deal with. The only thing I can think of is just try not to think about it, It's one of those things that you're going to have to try to ignore as best as you can. And, see if you can just get through it. I mean, they don't really leave, like, itchy marks or bites or anything, but it's just such an intense pain, and it's kind of funny because it's such an intense pain, and you're just trying to focus on standing still so much, and so you just don't get fucked with and smoked like really bad, that I think it just intensifies the pain in your mind, because you're trying to concentrate on standing still so bad that it just hurts even worse. But it is a pretty bad pain, and it almost, I couldn't really tell you, because I was there when it was cold and hot, and I can't really tell you when exactly they were worse. I would want to say they were worse when it was cold outside, but I'm trying to think about it, it's been so long. I almost want to say they were worse when it was cold outside, but they were pretty bad. They do have their little seasons. I don't think they're in San Diego either. I've never heard anybody from San Diego mention sand fleas who went to San Diego. San Diego is kind of like a, all this, there's kind of people that are like, oh, Parris Island sucks, and, San Diego's worse. San Diego's like right next to the airport. You can look like through the fence and see like strip clubs and stuff. Like Parris Island, you just don't see nothing. It's just water. It's an island. And they used to joke saying it's a shark-infested water, so don't try swimming away. But anyways, sand fleas are kind of like one of those things you're not really going to be able to get through. But, next question, life after the Marine Corps. Well, life after the Marine Corps is kind of dull, I should say. It's one of those things that when I got out, I didn't know what the fuck to do. Like, I was lost. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to go do anything. I didn't know what to do with the rest of my life, because I got med-sepped out due to my knee injuries, and I'd planned on making the Marines a career. I didn't plan on anything else. Never planned on going to college, nothing. So when I got out, it was kind of like, oh, what the fuck's going on? Like, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Like, and it became one of those deals where I had to try to think of something real quick to do. And I was kind of like in a transitional phase where I was, gung-ho, marined out, locked on, just like straight up like, I'm not nasty, everybody else is nasty. And I didn't like civilians at all. Like, I hated going out. I hated, hanging out with my friends. I thought they were all nasty fuckers. And, I hated how the way civilians act. And so I started becoming like a shut-in. I was staying with my parents and everything at that time because I just got back, didn't know what the fuck to do. And so my parents actually suggested I go see a therapist because they said something's wrong with me. And I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. I was like, I just want to be back in the Marines. So I went and saw a therapist. He pretty much said I had culture shock because I was so used to like a disciplined lifestyle to where I knew what to do every day. I had to keep everything pretty much in order. Everybody was doing the same thing, and I go to, to a life where I can do what I want. I don't have any rules, and it kind of just scared the crap out of me. So I pretty much agreed with him, and I pretty much didn't go back to him after that again. I just kind of, worked with a little bit. But now I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm just like a normal civilian now, and I still got the shooting skills. I still can snap to attention if I wanted to, but I'm still a civilian. But I mean, you're always a Marine at heart, and that's never gonna change. But I mean, I miss it. If I could go back and do it all over again, pick up where I left off, go back to my unit, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I mean, I'd leave everything I have behind to go and do it again. It's one of those things that it's so unique, and it's such a great opportunity in life that, I do miss it a lot. But the only thing I really get out of the Marines now is you get a lot of respect when you get out of the Marines. Like, women love it when they hear you used to be a Marine. I mean, you could tell them you were a Marine like 10 years ago, and they don't give a shit. You're still a Marine. And, guys respect you. They kind of, like, don't fuck with you as much. Like, if people will be like, oh, yeah, that guy over there, don't fuck with him. He used to be in the Marines. And they kind of stay the fuck away. But, other than that, life as not in the Marines is pretty boring. And, pretty much do what you want. No rules. Kind of sucks. Never thought I'd say that. But anyways, let's hop on over to another question. Favorite weapon to use in SOI? Now, I got two of them, because one of them you don't really get to use. The other one you do use. Now, the one that I liked that you didn't get to use was the AT4. Now, you did get to use the training ones that have like a little 9mm, and you fire the tracers just to learn how, the AT4 drops and everything, because the tracer round's pretty much the same way with the drop of the round. But they did let us fire off one. They picked one randomly because they are expensive. You can't fire everybody can't fire a live one. It costs like freaking $500,000 for everybody to do that shit. But I went in there, and it was one of those things that it shocked me, because I went in there and movies, video games, everything, they teach you that a rocket does the swoosh, and it sounds like a rocket, right? No. When they fired this thing, it was just boom! It was just the loudest boom you ever heard. And then when it hit the tank, the target tank, it just boom! So it was just boom, boom! It scared the fuck out of me. And it was such a surprise that, it didn't do the swoosh. It didn't do what I thought it was going to do. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And honestly, it's crazy, because you think it's going to have recoil, and they kept telling us the thing doesn't have any recoil. And they say a lot of people will sit there and try to push it forward to compensate because they think it's going to have such a big kick to it, and they'll put it in the dirt in front of them, and they said you can just tap it and barely hold it, and it's just going to fly right out. And it's crazy, such a thing that makes such a loud noise and does so much damage, has no kick to it. It was insane. But the one weapon I did love the most that we actually used was the M203 40 Mike grenade launcher. Loved that thing. Awesomest weapon ever. Just the thunk, and then just shit blows up. Loved it. It was great. I mean, they take you to the range, and they have a bunch of tanks out there, like old Shermans and shit, and you get the little dummy, the training rounds for the 40 Mike, and it's cool because they're blue, so you fire them down, does same recoil, everything. The thing kicks like a mule. It's awesome. So it flies out there, and then it just orange paint all over the tank. It's so cool. I mean, I loved it. That was the most fun I've had at SOI. I was just lobbing 40 Mikes down the range. So that was one of those awesome moments. And it's even better when you get the HEDP rounds and stuff, and you actually start getting the live ammo. But I love that thing. You just send it through a window, and everybody inside gets all fucked up. But yeah, SOI, you do get to touch some awesome weapons. I didn't get to touch the 240 Bravo when I was in SOI, but that thing is an awesome weapon. If you go machine gunner, you're going to love that thing. You're going to hate it on humps, though, I tell you that. We used to do runs with them, and we'd have to carry it between a fire team when we run. And we would actually break it apart when we'd get away from the instructors and everything and carry it in pieces. And before we'd come back around the corner, we'd put it back together, and one person would run with it across the line. But that thing is one of those, it's a pretty beastly machine gun, but nothing compares to the 203 and the AT4. AT4 is an awesome weapon system. Sit there and fire and throw it on the ground. But the next question. has anyone ever had a mental breakdown at SOI when I was there? And I gotta say no to that. Look at this little camper. SOI isn't really like boot camp. I mean, it's not stressful. It's not, getting screamed at every day. It's pretty relaxed. I mean, they treat you like normal. They don't call you a recruit. They call you by your rank and everything. And the instructors are pretty cool. You don't call them sir. It's sergeant, staff sergeant. In their name. Everything's pretty relaxed. I mean, they do get on your case every once in a while if you do stupid shit like flag people with your weapon or something stupid, or you suck at hikes and fall out. I fell out a lot of hikes, so don't feel out of place if you do it too. But it's pretty relaxed. I mean, it's not like boot camp where everybody and their mother's gonna be freaking losing their mind and like crying in the corner, or, just not doing what the drill instructors tell them, and getting punched in the face and shit. But SOI is pretty cool, and that's when you've kind of boot camp's like not really an experience of what your Marine life's gonna be. Boot camp is kind of like the point, your initiation. I put it as your initiation. Yeah, look at that. Around the corner and mows me down. It's kind of like your initiation in becoming a Marine. You have to go through the trial by fire. You got to go to boot camp, get fucked with, do all the runs, get beat up, get yelled at, everything, and then you become a Marine. So you pretty much earn the title. That's the way it goes. SOI is more, you're learning your job. They don't really, they're not going to be hard on you. They just want you to learn how to do everything correctly and, be successful at it, so you can learn how to be, machine gunner, rifleman, whatever, and, go over there and be able to go overseas and do your job correctly. And so they're pretty relaxed about everything. They fuck with you from time to time, but I mean, they'll sit there, the sergeants, staff sergeant, instructors, they'll sit there and hang out and talk with you like normal people. We actually had a corporal that was in our SOI platoon, and he was in with us hanging out. He was an NCO. He had his own room that he could stay with, but he would train with us and everything because I guess they had no slots for his MOS open, so he had to go back to SOI to learn how to be an assaultman, just to stay in the infantry field. So they sent him to SOI to learn how to do everything. And he picked it up. He pretty much didn't do, the 0311 training. He pretty much picked it up right when the assaultman area did it. So he got to just hang out and do whatever he wanted all day until that point. So I mean, it's pretty relaxed. I mean, it's kind of gonna give you an idea of what the fleet's gonna be like, and if you kind of get the respect, people talk to you normal. But I mean, when you get to the fleet and you actually get to your unit, that's when it becomes more, oh shit, you're a boot, let's fuck with you, clean my room, oh shit, I'm gonna come beat the fuck out of you in the middle of the night kind of deal. Stuff like that. But SOI isn't really tough, and I try to tell everybody, it's the hardest thing you'll do in SOI is the humps. That's the hardest thing you'll do. I mean, other than that, it's pretty easy. And I mean, if your platoon's one of those ones that do the no tobacco rule, that's gonna be the other hardest part. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple. You get to do a lot of really cool shit. You get to go and do a lot of crazy stuff, and it's kind of like your first introduction into what the infantry's going to be, and what your job's going to be like. So that's when you really start feeling like a Marine. And you're going to start fucking shit up. You feel like a badass and everything. Look at this guy. I don't know how I sucked that bad and he sucked that bad that that went down like that. But I don't know. It's one of those deals. But anyways, we're coming to the end of this. I'm going to have a video out tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Make sure everybody checks it out. It involves every single one of you, and as much participation as I can get would be really appreciated. A lot of you will be able to, it's pretty much, you guys are going to be able to play video games with me and get to hang out and talk with me and everything, and ask me whatever questions you want, fuck shit up, whatever. So I'm going to leave, I'm not going to say much about it. I'll leave it a little more for a surprise. I think I went 41 and 11 this round. Pretty badass with a light machine gun. Gotta love it. And this guy, look at this. I don't know how that went down like that. But anyways, make sure you give this video a like and you comment. I always appreciate the comments. And don't forget to check out the video tomorrow. All the information will be on there, so keep in tune for that. Alright guys, but enjoy the rest of the gameplay. I'll talk to you later. Peace.